hand appears out of nowhere and slaps a window hard, but instead of breaking through, it slowly slides down just like my ranked teammates dragging me down. Initially, I thought something ominous was lurking behind that window. Instead, I found out something more menacing than Mr. Beast was behind it all. It's then revealed that the hands are coming from someone's girlfriend who belongs to the streets as someone is using their railgun on them. And spoiler alert, the guy ain't her boyfriend. Meanwhile, the girl's boyfriend is busy trying to win a championship for her. And today is the day where his dream could come true. So now her boyfriend is trying his best to make Baki proud, having to face off against the undefeated Brazilian Beast. Here we learn that the main character's name is Hyun Dojun, and hopefully bro is hum enough to teach his girl a lesson afterwards. Unfortunately for our boy Dojun, he's currently getting destroyed by the monster named Michael, and he's not the only one getting absolutely blasted at the same time. As Dojun experiences some back-breaking blows, so does his girlfriend. Like, come on, what kind of menace would betray our boy on the day he's challenging for the championship? So let's pray for her downfall, because right now it ain't looking good for Dojun, as it looks like this duel will end with his opponent needing to call in Speedwagon. And let's just say it won't be for Michael. Eventually, as Dojun gets cornered on the octagon, a purple nerd appears to cheer our boy on, but the nerd do be packing some double Mountain Dew Baja blasts underneath. Oh, and speaking of blasting, we find out that Dojun's girlfriend is experiencing rocket mode from one of Dojun's own coaches, who probably said in his own head, "Anyways, I started blasting." Regardless, let's fast forward to the expected outcome, where our boy ends up finding himself totally asleep on the floor, whilst Michael gets crowned the champion of the heavyweight belt. As the light turns off for Dojun, so does the TV in his own apartment, because his soon-to-be ex just finished doing some rice cake smashing herself. It then turns out that the only reason she did this is because she's a coach dare, and all she wanted to do was become the head coach herself, only needing to give the head part to the current coach. Eventually, our boy wakes up in the streets of Seoul, where he finds out that not only did he lose out on his dream, but his longtime girlfriend dipped harder than my peppercorn ranch. So the first thing he does, and it's exactly what most people do once you visit Japan or Korea, is to head directly straight to a convenience store, because they are all literally the bomb. Nevertheless, as our boy enters to grab some snacks, some cute overnight worker greets him with a hearty hello whilst showing off her famous family bucket from Colonel Sanders. But Dojun doesn't reply back. Instead, he just stood there like a mega sussy Becca, but in reality bro is just deep in thought after everything that occurred today. As such, the girl gets a little bit scared by his presence, hoping that bro isn't up to no good during these ungodly hours. Luckily for her, our boy isn't up to no good. He's only just had the heartbreak of the decade. But you know what? Let's take a moment and talk about how this girl be looking like a cow, cause there's some massive milk containers in front of Dojun. Regardless, bro continues to say nothing and not even a thanks, but he's still a nice guy as he's still able to leave the cow lady her change, as bro currently could not care anymore. However, as Dojun leaves the store, he runs into a trio looking like they aren't up to no good, as one of them looks like Walmart Krillin. But like I said, bro doesn't care anymore, so our Chad does not give right of way on the sidewalk as he decides to just walk straight through them. And like all these wannabes outnumbering one person, they decide to pick on our boy whilst looking like they have some snot stuck in their nose. The turntables then turn as Dojun is still busy thinking about his past, so the three musketeers were able to actually push him to the ground. Unfortunately for these three stooges, they just messed with the wrong person, and soon they'll be running faster than a bald man from Romania that I know. But much to my surprise, Dojun doesn't even do anything and just takes it like Korean fried chicken in front of the three. Somehow though, the three end up realizing that the man they are messing with is actually Dojun. So they took pity upon him and left him some money on the ground thinking he's homeless now. But again, Dojun doesn't move and lets the money fly away, as it looks like he's more sad than the songs made by my boys X and Juice WRLD. Suddenly, a random hand appears again. This time it's a girl who picks up the money from the sky and exchanges it for some drinks. After taking a closer look, it's revealed that the angel that stopped by is the same girl from the store before, absolutely bewildered as why Dojun didn't clap back, as bro could have easily went 1v3 like my boy Jing from Paper Rex. She then tries to cheer him up to no avail, so the Bulma lookalike puts the money back in his pocket and leaves him with a free drink, full of water of course. So now let's fast forward to the next day, where Dojun doesn't even find a place overnight, so he just woke up on the street. After hearing his stomach rumble, we finally see our boy's eyes. So the redemption arc is about to come, or so I hope. As such, he walks into the nearest restaurant while also avoiding Taco Bell since he knows there's no toilets nearby. Nonetheless, after walking into the restaurant, he gets greeted by a blue-eyed white dragon equipped with warframes out of this world, and let's just say the personality is very whale-like. After getting seated, it's revealed that the angel from last night just so happened to be eating at the same place because apparently this restaurant attracts all whales and cows all around. Bulma then makes a remark about how our bro is still looking like he's super homeless, even though Dojin's outfit looks like my daily wear, especially when I show up at the gym. Anyways, Dojin ends up ordering our favorite meal, which just happens to be rice cake with some fish cakes, so the killer whale is quick to assemble his order. Also like to do a shout out the artist here for making all the girls equipped with the sample size of Texas barbecue, since it's absolutely huge. Nevertheless, Dojin's food arrives fast and comes fresh straight out of the kitchen, and now I'm super hungry as well. However, Dojin isn't too happy at the meal in front of him, causing him to ask why there's so much extras to his meal as he didn't order it, but the owner just blushes and says it's on the house. Upon realizing that the extras were free, Bro begins to chow down like his master Nico Avocado, and Dojin actually compliments the food as he likes it more than Waffle House. Unfortunately, his heavenly meal gets interrupted as two ogre-looking men barge into the restaurant with a fiery red head covering half her face. The owner then tries to stop them, as it turns out the girl is some kind of shark wanting a return on their investment from the previous owner who's not even part of the living anymore. Also, I just wanted to take a moment to point out the fact that this fiery red head also has some massive parking lots, like I can't even scroll down because the cars poke through. Anyways, back on the show, one of the henchmen make a critical mistake as he actually sent Dojin's food flying away, and Bro didn't even get to finish it yet. And with food now on the ground, you already know I'll be up in arms myself. So things are about to get real, as no one dares to ever waste my own real rice cakes. As such, Dojin gets up, then doesn't move at all, but he just menacingly stares at the food. And since Dojin isn't doing anything or even saying anything at all, the current owner pipes up and defends him, where she starts yelling at the intruders to watch their manners. However, with the owner talking back, Bulma instinctively gets up in an attempt to block an attack coming for the owner, where we also find out that Bulma's real name is Jinha. Luckily, our boy finally wakes up and comes to the rescue by grabbing and stopping one of the men's attack mid-air, causing the dude to tremble like knees weak arms spaghetti. And with his ultimate display of some of his Chad powers, the owner instantly looks like she falls in love as she watches our boy tell the intruders to pick everything up, including his food. But the ogres still have not learned from Dojin's prior warnings, and one of them end up actually having the gal to pick up his shirt in front of him. And so the rest was history for this unlucky man picking the wrong fight, as Dojin decides to throw him on the ground faster than the dude could blink once. After realizing what Dojin could do in one moment, the redhead decides to call her men back and tells them they will come another day, as they want no piece of this giant. Regardless, after the redhead and her henchmen left, another girl walked in, and this time her personality is even larger and more explosive than the others. Now, I don't know what the author is setting us up for, since every time a girl shows up, things get even more sussy as the screen is half filled with whales ready to jump out of their oceanic armors at any moment. Nonetheless, Jinha explains to the new blonde girl what happened right before she walked in, inadvertently being a wingman for Dojin, as Blondie starts to blush after finding out what he did. So now we have three girls bowing down lower than usual to our boy, causing Dojin to actually blush, but his eyes are still yet to be found. With all the girls now busy fawning over our boy, the owner accidentally drops a plate of food, so she apologizes and heads to the kitchen to replace it. But it turns out that the blondie is actually a worker at the store, so she tells the owner to go ahead and clock out as it's her turn, and she's absolutely ready to hand our boy a steaming plate of food. As such, the owner hesitantly leaves, but she also brings away Jinha with her, and now my Sussy Nation senses begin to tingle a little bit. So now it's already night, even though literally just 1 hour ago was supposed to be 9 in the morning, so I guess the plot armor is about to show up. Nevertheless, the blondie finally serves an entire meal to Dojin, and tells him to not worry about paying for it as it's on the house. So now bro basically got an entire buffet of Korean food right in front of him for free, and I am totally jealous, but you know what? Dojin deserves this. But before our boy can eat in peace, the blondie shows up and joins him with 2 bottles of drinks, where she alerts Dojin that this one is on her. She then starts interrogating him for the entire night, but she also proceedingly gets more enamored about Dojin the more she finds out about him. Eventually, she drops the Hiroshima by randomly asking if Dojin is interested in the owner here, causing our boy to accidentally spit out his drink as he didn't expect the gank out of nowhere, but he does say she's pretty attractive. Now Blondie is a loose cannon as she continues on explains why the owner left early, revealing to Dojin that today is her husband's disappearance anniversary and no, he didn't leave for some milk. Regardless, after dropping the entire backstory of the owner, Blondie finds out Dojin is now jobless, so she eagerly moves closer to him and points at the sign saying that the restaurant is currently hiring. She then mentions how it'd be nice to have a strong and athletic man working with her, and she follows up by placing her personality right on Dojin while feeding him some fish cakes. Things heat up even more as Blondie starts to talk about how rice cakes at the store isn't the only thing tasty, alluding to the fact her own rice cakes are up for some destroying. And so finally the sussy Fire Nation makes a cameo as Blondie straight up takes Dojun's hand and places it on her revealed personalities, asking our boy if he would like to eat some more rice cakes. Of course, our boy is utterly stunned and in disbelief as he can't believe a girl could be so aggressive and straightforward with him, so he's left speechless. Now good old Dojun. Bro just stands there and says nothing while totally flustered, as he can only watch Blondie do the entire work in this interview because this is just a job interview, right guys? And so with the intense job interview now in session, Blondie quickly unequips all pieces of legendary armor she had on, then she proceeded to open up Dojun's mystery gift, causing her to wonder if his banana tree plantation can fit on her island. Eventually, Bro ends up accidentally exploding his science project in the form of a volcano, but Blondie didn't mind and told him to get his horse ready for round 2, as this time he can enter the gates into her Valhalla. And so the rest was history as he came charging through the gates of Valhalla like a true Norse god, using his tremendous hammer to make sure Blondie gave him a job. Initially, Dojun is hesitant to accept as he doesn't want to taint his training ground by constantly destroying the gates to Valhalla, but Blondie reveals the fact that they don't even have to train in public as there's a private room inside. And so the two kept charging over and over the entire night within the private room, and eventually our boy fell asleep as they went past their limit of over 9,000. And since Blondie is actually a really nice and considerate girl, she allows him to continue sleeping while she went ahead and tucked him in like true wifey material. Now fast forward to the next day, Dojun finally gets a nice round of sleep thanks to a nice bed, but it seems he's totally aloof to what has happened the night before. And to be clear, Bro could not chop some morning wood as he woke up. So one of the workers showed up early and accidentally walked into the sight of Dojun's behemoth looking straight at her. Blondie then appears out of nowhere after hearing the owner's shout, where she goes, "Oh, I totally forgot to tell you, Ani, that he's now working for us." Anyways, to top everything off, Miss Widowmaker here makes a remark about how she only got totally surprised, and it's all because it's been years since she saw something like a behemoth. The story continues with Dojun's attack helicopter totally visible in all its might, and since he can't cover it right now, he's only able to look down. After being caught with his invisible pants by accident, the owner leaves and asks our boy to meet her whenever he's ready, but things are now more sussy than ever as she can only get flustered by the thought of his dinosaur. Regardless, Blondie tries her hardest to convince the owner that Dojun is the perfect man to take on as a new hire, since he can literally Jackie Chan anyone that wants to tussle with them. Success, Blondie is able to convince her to take him on officially, but we all know her being flustered still at the thought of his colossal titan played a major part on accepting Dojun. As such, the girls start formally introducing themselves, where we finally learn that the Blondie's name is Hyuna, and somehow the bombshell is already 38 years old. Furthermore, Hyuna reveals the fact that the owner's name is Hyangi and she happens to only be 30 years young, whilst Dojun is only 26. Nevertheless, after getting acquainted with each other, Dojun's first day at the restaurant starts and Bro's already worried the lung sharks might come crawling back anytime soon. And as Dojun is busy thinking about a possible attack from all fronts, he fails to think about the possible anime sussy waterbenders that could strike at any moment, so Hyangi becomes victim by a very effective water on the floor attack. And so an unsuspecting Hyangi comes crashing to the floor like an unmanned Tesla. But we already know where this is heading as she comes flying in with her gigantic pillows first. Of course, all attention from the room gravitates straight towards where Hyangi falls as she screams louder than those who fake to hit the climax. Luckily for the owner though, she does the typical anime crash land where everything goes flying, but upon opening her eyes, she realizes she feels totally fine. It then turns out that our boy caught Hyangi during her fall, but now he can't breathe as some massive twin pyramids of Giza has blocked the airway path to his nostrils, causing him to smell the fresh sweet scent of his boss. Unfortunately for our boy though, instead of being sent thousands of thanks with gratitude for preserving her beautiful face, Hyangi starts yelling for Dojun to get away even though Bro did nothing wrong. He's then left dumbfounded as every girl within vicinity begin to dogpile on him for being a mega sussy baka, when it wasn't even him that fell that caused the entire whole commotion. Regardless, with customers onlooking, Hyangi comes to the rescue by taking Dojun's hand to whisk him away to a more private area. At the same time, Kai Miss Bulma makes an appearance looking totally worried about her Ani, but Hyangi absolutely leaves her hanging as she continues on with Dojun. Now I know some of you guys would be thinking it's time for the sussy turntables to turn. Instead, Dojun gets an earful from the owner as Hyangi gets angry at him for not properly sweeping the floor, causing her fall in the end. Furthermore, she continues on by ordering him to stop being the biggest sussy baka she's ever known, as this will be the last strike. especially since the first time they met, he already whipped around his helicopter in front of her. So things are getting tough already for our boy, even though he just got dumped a few days ago, where he also lost the championship belt, and now his new boss won't believe him that he didn't mean to crumple her pillow when she fell. In the end, Hyangi scolds him again and tells him to stop having hair that looks like a high school emo kid, as he now works at a restaurant and hygiene is at the utmost importance. Luckily for our boy though, just as Hyangi looked like she was about to rip more into him, Miss so-called 38-year-old interrupts them and comes to the rescue for Dojin. After Hyuna successfully calms down the big boss, she whips out her credit card and hands it over to Dojin, ordering him to get some rest and to get a haircut at a salon. But just as he was about to disappear into the horizon like my non-existent teammates during ranked, Jinha happily reappears and tells Dojin that she wants to tag along with him as she knows so many perfect salons nearby. Meanwhile, back at the restaurant, as the boss lady cleans up after rush hour, Hyangi begins to think about Dojin as she regrets being so harsh on him, so she plans to apologize later. Anyways, back with our boy Dojin and the Bulma look-alike tagging along with him, we find out that Bro already got his haircut and Jinha cannot help herself but stare at him due to his brand new look. However, Bro kind of looks the same except he just got his hair parted, but nevertheless, Jinha continues to fawn over him whilst her heart starts to beat faster than usual while accompanying him back to the store. So while walking back to the restaurant with Jinha, our boy continues to stare into the sky as he wonders what the heck he's doing taking a job at the restaurant when he's still the up-and-coming rising star of Korean mixed martial arts. Nonetheless, Dojin decides to continue on with what seems like fate, so both him and Jinha gank the front of the restaurant. Upon Dojin finally entering inside, every girl in the room began staring at him like he's a lion inside a zoo, unable to fathom how Bro looks really good now. But like a true Chad, our boy shrugs it off and wonders what's up with these ladies as every single one can't help themselves except look like they want some fresh meat. Mere moments later, Dojin decides to go do the dishes as no one dared to say a word. Instead, they kept staring at him and observing him as if he's like the last man alive on Earth. Eventually, Jinha attempts to break the awkward silence as she decides to gank Dojin whilst on first base, where she asks our boy if he has any plans this weekend. And with Jinha's absolute bold Stacy move, both Hyuna and Hyangi are left speechless, as they couldn't believe their eyes and ears as Dragon Ball Z Bulma readies to ask Dojin out. As such, Dojin turns his back around to her, as he didn't expect that mid-lane gank coming out of left field. But he blushes and mentions the fact that he's free this weekend but questions her why she's asking. And without any hesitation, Jinha replies by saying if he's okay with it, then she would love to go on a date with him this weekend if he's down. So with the newfound revelation that Jinha wants to take his dragon on a ride, both Hyuna and Hyangi look a bit startled as they didn't expect this outcome, just because Bro got an anti-emo haircut. Initially though, Bro is taken aback as Hyuna already secretly took a ride on his dragon sword, and now another one wants to have their turn. Nevertheless, even before he's able to utter his answer to Jinha, she ends up turning around and asks the other girls if it's fine they go on a date this weekend. Hyangi then responds by claiming that it will be totally fine if they go out on Sunday, as the restaurant is closed and Dojin won't need to show up, but at the same time, Hyuna looks visibly frustrated. Hyuna then refuses to say anything as Jinha happily shoves her double Eiffel Towers into our boy, so to keep things a secret, she could only bite her lip in frustration. So fast forward to the night, everyone is busy powering down as it's been a hectic day, and it's time for some nice Bing chillings. However, as Hyangi freshens up in the shower, she starts singing along to some tight tunes until the Sussy Nation snuck in. Jealousy then began seeping into her brain without her even knowing, as she establishes the train of thought of Dojin going for a younger woman is a pretty sussy thing to do due to their age gap. She then tries to shrug off her true feelings by attempting to convince herself that she shouldn't even care, as Dojin probably doesn't even think about her. Elsewhere back at the restaurant, Dojin's new room swings wide open as Bro was coincidentally freshening up at the same time Hyangi as well. However, as he enters his room with towel in hand, he gets surprise ganked by a familiar face on his bed, but Bro really wanted to play Roblox without any interruptions tonight. It's then revealed that the familiar face happens to be Hyuna, and this is probably a good reason why she's not already married while nearing 40 years old, as she's out here hunting Roblox players. Nonetheless, she smirks and begins to smile ear to ear while staring at the exposed banana tree plantation in front of her, saying out loud how she can't believe how jumbo our bro's whopper is. As such, Dojin quickly assumes defensive position to protect the enemy from having line of sight on his precious treasure, where he also stumbles upon his words asking what the heck she's doing here. Unfortunately for our boy though, Hyuna begins crying and calls him out for being such a meanie, as she can't believe he would agree to go on a date with Jinha after she let him taste her papaya bubble tea. However, Dojun just sighs and says nothing. Instead, he follows up later by telling Hyuna to stop drinking so much as she's always trying to party even on a Wednesday. Hyuna then refuses to budge from his bed, forcing him to sit down beside her, where our boy finally confirms the fact that he's planning to go on a date with her since he promised to do so. Upon learning that Dojun really is going to attend a date with Jinha, she decides to quickly activate Plan B by putting on some invisible potions on her armor. Hyuna then hops into the pilot's seat to treat his joystick with absolute respect, since if he's going on a date with another girl, then she might as well open up her city gates so Bro could triumphantly enter without any opposition. And within just a single minute, Hyuna is able to fully empty and explode Dojun's mountain, causing him to be totally amazed as it's been a while since a girl could do that. Luckily for him though, Hyuna cleans up the entire explosion by just vacuuming it all up with one fell swoop, where she then tells our boy that it's his turn to make sure she reaches the top of the climax. Of course, our boy has no problem with her timely request, so like a true gentleman, he started up the lawnmower to destroy Hyuna's grass over and over. So long story short, Hyuna was revealed to be an absolute monster as she wouldn't let the lawnmower stop, ordering Dojun to continue with the job even though he'd crossed the finish line over 10 times. Now fast forward the next morning, Bro actually looks a little bit spiffy more than normal. But due to his fateful encounter last night, he's way more tired than usual as his energy got sucked out over and over. However, as he passes by the restaurant to meet up with his date, he notices a car pass by where the people inside looked like the ominous sharks. But since it's his day off and not wanting to be late to his date, Dojun just assumes that he must have been hallucinating, so he continues on his way. Mere moments later, we find out that they actually opened the restaurant on Sundays, but Hyeongi wanted him to have a good time, so she lied about closing up this week. However, as both Hyeongi and Hyuna get swamped by regulars coming in, Hyeongi ends up making unfortunate eye contact with a red-haired girl from days before. The redhead then smiles and moves on up to the counter to order some food, whilst showing off her whale-like personalities as she points at her two guards she brought along again.